We are not just dealing with one man, but with three personalities. Two of them were visible to the world, a polished, educated, cultured gentleman. Friends and colleagues described him as polite, elegant, and refined. But the third persona, only his victims ever met. Karim Salim, better known now as the Fifth Settlement Butcher, wasn't just a killer. He was Egypt's most unsuspected serial killer. He was known as the well-dressed gentleman, an academic, a father, an English teacher, and a famous TikToker. But beneath the surface of charm and intelligence, hid a predator. This is the full dark story. Three faces, one man, and victims who only saw the monster in their final moments. From his troubled psychology to the horrific soundproofed room, to the secret TikTok persona masking a spiral into madness. Join us as we uncover the twisted double life of a man no one suspected, until it was too late. Born in Alexandria in 1987, into a wealthy and respectable family, Karim always craved distinction. He wanted to stand out, to be different. From childhood, he chased uniqueness with a quiet obsession. And after finishing his basic education, while his family moved to America, Karim stayed behind to complete his university studies in Egypt at the prestigious American University.
Thank you. Say, I appreciate it. Don't say, you're welcome. Say, my pleasure. Don't say, I understand. Say, I see your point.
Charismatic, educated, and charming. That was the man people saw. But there were cracks. After earning a doctorate in psychology, specializing in behavioral correction, Karim met his future wife. She would soon become one of the first to witness the unraveling of his mask. From elite tattoo studios in Cairo to high-paying jobs at international schools, Karim carefully constructed his public image. But behind closed doors, paranoia grew. He was jealous, controlling, prone to fits of rage. Accusations of infidelity, drug abuse, delusions. His life began to spiral, and so did his mind. After divorcing his wife and gaining full custody of their son Zayn, Karim rented a luxurious apartment in New Cairo's Fifth Settlement. But there, in the heart of a quiet compound, he made a chilling request. One room must be completely soundproof. His excuse? A love for making music. His real reason? Much, much darker. He launched a TikTok account, educational videos on English and parenting tips. He appeared calm, intelligent, and loving, but it was a facade, a performance. He told his son that his mother had died, a lie that cut deeper than anyone imagined. And then, Karim began haunting cafes, scouting young women, luring them with promises of money or help. But what they didn't know, what no one knew, was that they were walking into a trap set by a man who no longer saw people as human. That soundproof room, it wasn't for music, it was for torture, it was for pain, and it was for murder. This is the hidden life of Karim Salim, a man who played the perfect father by day and transformed into a monster by night. The corpses began to surface, abandoned like shattered dolls along the desolate stretches between Cairo, Ismailia, and Port Said. That's when the true face of Karim Salim emerged from the shadows. His victims, Nora, Rama, and Amira, young women with seemingly no connection, shared more than just a tragic end. They were handpicked, deliberately, ritualistically. Each one bore the same chilling signature: bound, broken, defiled, and executed with a cruelty that defied comprehension. What investigators once hoped were isolated horrors quickly unraveled into a pattern of calculated evil. Karim had been hunting, and he wasn't done yet. The case began to unravel after the discovery of the first body, found dumped near a deserted stretch outside Cairo. As investigators dug deeper, it became clear this was no random act of violence. Each victim had been carefully selected, often lured through social media or word of mouth by Karim himself, who posed as a media recruiter or language tutor. Each woman had been lured under different pretenses, different cities, different stories, but they all ended the same, bound with the same type of industrial tape, showing signs of torture, then strangled and dumped. Through intense forensic analysis, investigators began tracing crime scenes and call records, linking them all back to one man, Karim Salim. They discovered he used multiple SIM cards and false identities to contact the victims, and CCTV footage placed him near at least 2 of the disposal sites in the hours surrounding each disappearance. The autopsies revealed a chilling pattern: drugging, restraint, and prolonged psychological torment before the murders. But the deeper the investigation went, the more it uncovered. Not just a killer, but a calculating predator. Through the lens of security footage, police uncovered a chilling truth. Karim was not acting on impulse. He was methodical, calculated. His every move was premeditated. And as the investigation delved deeper into his personal life, they discovered the full extent of his cruelty. Karim's foreign wife, a woman from Europe, had long been trapped in an abusive marriage. The police later learned that she had become increasingly fearful of her husband's behavior. Karim's disturbing tendencies had begun to bleed into their private life, and his increasingly erratic actions led to the collapse of their marriage. She had often tried to escape, but her attempts were thwarted by his manipulative control. As the case progressed, the psychological profile of Karim began to take shape. Karim had a history of emotional instability, with reports indicating that he had been a problem child from a young age. His family background was troubled, marked by violence and neglect. He was socially isolated and struggled with addiction, particularly to methamphetamine, which only fueled his darker impulses. He had been seeking approval through his social media presence, carefully curating a normal life for his followers while concealing his monstrous desires behind a veil of respectability. His TikTok videos, though innocuous on the surface, were crafted to project an image of an intelligent, caring individual. In reality, he was a predator, hiding in plain sight. His psychological evaluation revealed a man deeply disconnected from any form of empathy. His ability to manipulate others, to lure them into his trap, and to derive pleasure from their suffering pointed to the traits of a psychopath, someone who could engage in horrific acts without the slightest trace of remorse. Karim's obsession with control was evident in his meticulous planning of each crime. He targeted vulnerable women, those with fractured or absent family support systems, and lured them into his world with promises of safety and stability. Once in his apartment, they were trapped. In June 2024, the courtroom became the stage for a national horror show. Reporters crowded the gallery, families of the victims wept in the front row, and the police watched closely as the trial began. The prosecution presented damning evidence. Videos of Karim's horrific acts, the images of torture, the sounds of agony, captured by the very man who reveled in his own cruelty. He had filmed his own deeds, watching the footage afterward in a twisted attempt to relive his satisfaction. It was clear that this was no crime of passion. It was deliberate. Karim's own defense team, under pressure, continued to struggle. One by one, each lawyer withdrew from the case. They could not stomach the depravity of their client. By the third hearing, his own mother had to hire a new legal team to defend him. The accusations against him grew more chilling with every session. Charges of necrophilia, sexual violence, and abuse of minors were added to the growing list. On August 13th, a new defense strategy emerged. Karim, they argued, wasn't a monster. He was simply broken. A victim of childhood trauma. An addict who couldn't control his urges. But the prosecution stood firm. They presented evidence that Karim had been fully aware of his actions. His brain scans showed no signs of significant abnormality. His ability to plan, manipulate, and execute these crimes was evidence enough. His actions were not those of a man driven by insanity, but of a predator who thrived on the suffering of others. And then came the confession of a woman known only as Shahad. Shahad was the madam who had delivered the women to Karim. It was through her connections that Karim selected his victims, and at times she even used her own daughter to satisfy his sick cravings. But what came next would send shockwaves through the courtroom. In a tear-filled confession, Shahad admitted to sleeping with Karim herself when she failed to find a suitable victim for him. She had done it simply for the money. Her guilt was evident as she covered her face in shame, but her lawyer revealed that she never wanted to defend herself. She had been forced into the confession. The court's deliberation was swift. Karim's guilt was undeniable. His crimes were systematic, cold, brutal. For weeks, the courtroom had echoed with the testimony of forensic experts, digital analysts, and survivors who had narrowly escaped his manipulation. Investigators presented chilling evidence: CCTV footage, phone logs, falsified identities, and items seized from Karim's apartment, including restraints, narcotics, and personal belongings of the victims. Karim sat motionless through it all, unflinching, offering no remorse, not a single apology. And so the verdict was read. Karim, the Butcher of Fifth Settlement, was found guilty on all charges: murder, torture, abuse. There would be no mercy. The judge, citing the sheer horror and premeditated nature of the crimes, handed down the ultimate sentence: death by hanging. Karim's case was not one of simple malice. It was the product of a perfect storm: abuse, addiction, isolation, and a mind warped by his experiences and fantasies. He was not just a murderer. He was a predator, a cold, calculated killer whose every move was planned for maximum terror. And yet, despite the dark web of trauma, manipulation, and online influence, his true monstrosity was not just in what he did. It was in how he hid it, how he used the very platforms meant for connection to conceal his depravity. This case is a chilling reminder that evil does not always wear a mask. Sometimes it hides behind a soft voice, a TikTok video, or the comforting facade of a normal life. Evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it smiles, sometimes it live streams, and sometimes it builds a soundproof room in the heart of the city, waiting to become Egypt's worst nightmare. Like, subscribe, and share this case to help expose the dark corridors of true crime.